In the quiet counsels of the heart, far from the clamor of the marketplace, a single question often arises. It is a question whispered by those who seek to rise above the ranks of the merely good and enter the pantheon of the truly great. They seek the one, single, unifying principle that will elevate them to become the greatest salesman in the world. It is a noble ambition, for a great salesman is a great mover of men, an agent of change, a force for progress. Yet the secret is often sought in the wrong places, in the clever turn of phrase, the fortress of logic, the charm of a winning smile, or the pressure of a closing technique. These are but tools, and a carpenter is not defined by his hammer, but by the vision he holds for the cathedral he builds. The world offers 1,000 habits, 1,000 secrets. It preaches discipline, affirmations, and meticulous organization. While many of these have merit, they are but the branches of a great tree. They are not the root. One can water the leaves for a lifetime, but if the root is withered, the tree will surely die. The root, the one habit from which all other worthy habits of salesmanship spring forth, is a principle so simple it might at first seem insulting to the intellect, yet so profound that a lifetime can be spent plumbing its depths. It requires no special genius or silver tongue, only a daily, conscious, and deliberate choice. The one habit that will make one the greatest salesman in the world is this: to greet every soul, not as a prospect to be sold, but as a brother or sister to be served. Those words bear repeating, for they must settle not in the mind, but in the heart. They must dismantle the fortress of self-interest so carefully constructed by so many. To serve. This is the habit. This is the secret. This is the beginning and the end of all greatness in the profession, and indeed in life itself. The barren desert of the self. There was a time long ago when I was a young man hungry for recognition, for wealth, for the respect I felt the world owed me. Each morning, my list of names was not a list of people, but of numbers. One was worth a potential $50 commission, another 100. My days were a frantic calculation of my own needs. When a door was approached, the mind was a whirlwind of self-centered questions. What can be said to get inside? How can their objections be overcome? What is the quickest path to a signature on an order form? How can I get what I want? A smile became a mask, a handshake became a tool, words became weapons. The salesman was a hunter, and the people before him were his prey. The natural reaction of prey when it senses a hunter is to flee, to defend, to hide. The days were filled with rejection. Doors were slammed, not because the product was poor, but because the stench of selfishness, of desperate neediness, was a foul odor that preceded the salesman. People do not buy from desperation, they recoil from it. The world is full of takers, and so nothing unique was offered. I returned to my small room each night with an empty satchel and a heavier heart, cursing the foolishness of the people, the wretchedness of the territory, the unfairness of life. This is the barren desert of the self. In this desert, only one person exists. Only one thirst matters, only one hunger needs sating, and in this desert, nothing grows. One can wander in circles, chasing the mirage of a sail, only to find more sand, more emptiness, more despair. Many live in this desert now, their sails a struggle, their income a source of anxiety, their profession a burden. This is the consequence of making the sale about oneself. The habit of service is the oasis that will make this desert bloom. The transformation from hunter to shepherd. Imagine a new day. Upon waking, before feet touch the floor, the habit is formed with a single thought. Today, I will seek only to serve. Whom can I help today? Whose burden can I lighten? Whose problem can I solve? With this, the salesman is no longer a hunter. He has become a shepherd. A hunter thinks of the kill. A shepherd thinks of the flock. A hunter's purpose is to take a life for his own benefit. A shepherd's purpose is to guard the lives of others, to lead them to green pastures and still waters. When that first door is approached, the entire demeanor is changed. The heart is not pounding with the anxiety of getting, It is calm with the purpose of giving. The mind is not racing with clever lines. It is open, silent, and observant, ready to listen. When the door opens, there is no prospect to be seen. There is no target or lead or gatekeeper. There is a human soul, a person created in God's own image, a miracle. There is a brother or a sister. The first words are not a pitch, but a genuine inquiry. The smile is not a tactic, but a true reflection of love in the heart. The habit of service is the physical manifestation of the vow to greet the day with love. Now, and what a change this is. The average salesman does not listen. He merely waits for his turn to speak, listening for keywords, for openings, for weaknesses in the armor of another's arguments. But the servant salesman listens with his soul. He listens for unspoken fears, hidden dreams, the true problem buried beneath polite conversation. He is not a prosecutor cross-examining a witness. He is a physician diagnosing a patient. The ailment must be completely understood before a cure can be offered. Questions are asked not to trap, but to understand. Tell me more about that. How has that affected you? What would be the perfect solution? If a magic wand could be waved. In this process, a miracle occurs. The person, so accustomed to being hunted, begins to relax. Their defenses lower. They sense a presence that is not there to take something, but to genuinely help. They have never met a salesman like this before. This is not a salesman at all. This is a trusted advisor, a friend, a helper. Only now, after the other's world problem and need are completely understood, only now does one begin to speak of what is on offer. One does not pitch a product. One offers a solution. The product or service is no longer a thing with features and benefits recited from a brochure. It is a key. It is a bridge. It is a balm. It is the answer to the problem just shared from the depths of the heart. The offering is not an intrusion. It is a gift. The entire vocabulary changes. Instead of, let me tell you about our new model, it becomes, from what was shared about the struggles with, I believe this may be the very solution hoped for. Instead of, this product will cost X, it becomes, this problem can be solved for an investment of X. Instead of, when can I sign you up? It becomes, shall we begin to put this solution in place? The difference is clear. The first set of phrases is about the salesman, the product, the goal. The second is about the other person, their problem, their solution. One is the language of taking, the other is the language of giving. How service conquers all foes. To serve becomes the master key that unlocks every door to success. On persistence, the vow to persist until success is achieved is a powerful one. The selfish salesman persists out of a desperate need to hit a quota. This persistence feels like nagging, like pressure, creating resentment. But the servant salesman's persistence is born of a different mother. He persists because he genuinely believes he has a solution that will help. His persistence is not an act of ego, but an act of faith, faith in the value of his service. A no is not a personal rejection, but a failure on his part to properly communicate the value of his gift. He does not cower in shame. He tries again from a different angle, with more love, with more clarity, always with the other's best interest at heart. This persistence is seen not as pestering, but as passion and dedication. The world makes way for a person with such a mission. On enthusiasm, the selfish salesman must manufacture his enthusiasm. It is a performance, a loud and hollow thing that discerning people can spot a mile away. But the servant salesman's enthusiasm is a natural spring bubbling up from the ground of his purpose. He is genuinely excited because he has found someone to help. He has discovered a problem, and he holds the key to the solution. This excitement is not for the commission, but for the relief to be provided, the joy to be created, the success to be enabled for another. This authentic enthusiasm is a contagious force, drawing people to it because it is real, pure, and focused entirely on them. On overcoming objections, the hunter sees an objection as a wall to be battered down. He argues, debates, and tries to prove the prospect wrong. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. The shepherd sees an objection not as a wall, but as a request for more information, a cry for help. When someone says, "It's too expensive," the shepherd hears, "Can you help me understand why the value is greater than the cost?" When someone says, "I need to think about it," the shepherd hears, "I am afraid of making the wrong decision. Can you give me more reassurance?" The servant salesman welcomes objections. He leans into them, saying, "That is a very valid point. Let's explore that together." Objections become an opportunity to serve more deeply, to understand more fully, and to build more trust. On closing the sale for the hunter, the close is a moment of high tension, a battle of wills where one wins and one loses. He uses manipulation, artificial scarcity, and emotional pressure. For the servant salesman, there is no close. There is only a natural, logical conclusion to a conversation of service. If one has listened with empathy, understood the problem, and presented a solution as a genuine gift, the final step is simply to help the other person accept it. It is not a moment of pressure, but a permission. A sale is not being closed, a relationship is being opened. An order is not being taken, a journey of service together is beginning. The final question is not, will you buy? But are you ready to solve your problem? The paradoxical reward. Now comes the great paradox, the truth that a logical mind may struggle to accept. When one forgets about their own needs, their needs are met. When one stops chasing the commission chases them. When one focuses on another person's wealth, their own wealth grows beyond wildest dreams. The universe is a magnificent accountant. It keeps a perfect ledger. When days are spent trying to take, the world takes in equal measure, peace of mind, self-respect, joy. But when days are spent in the service of others, the world repays 100-fold. The farmer who obsesses only over the harvest he will receive is a fool. He will neglect the tilling of the soil, the planting of the seeds, the pulling of the weeds, the watering of the sprouts. His harvest will be meager, but the farmer who falls in love with the process of service to his land, who tends the soil, speaks to his seeds, respects the sun and rain, and works from dawn to dusk for the love of the work itself, his harvest will be so abundant that his barns will overflow. The salesman is that farmer. His territory is his field. Every person he meets is a seat of opportunity, not to take, but to serve. Nurture them, pour the water of attention and the sunlight of genuine care upon them. Do this, and a harvest will be reaped not only of gold and silver, but of things far more precious: trust, loyalty, friendship, and a sense of profound purpose that fills the days with a quiet, unshakable joy. The daily practice of the habit. Like any habit, this one is forged in the furnace of daily repetition. It is a muscle of the soul that must be exercised or it will atrophy. The practice begins upon waking with a vow spoken aloud. Today, my sole purpose is to serve. I will see every person as a brother or sister. I will seek to understand before I seek to be understood. I am not a hunter. I am a shepherd. Next, a pause is required before every meeting. A single breath is taken to consciously wipe the dollar signs from the eyes, to cleanse the mind of one's own needs. This person before me is a miracle. My goal is not to sell them, but to serve them. Then, during the conversation, the tongue must be disciplined. It becomes a game to see how long one can go by only asking questions, fighting the urge to interrupt, to correct, to launch into a presentation. The new mantra becomes, understand, understand, understand. Finally, the day concludes with a review. The review is not of sales figures first, but of service. The questions are asked. Did I truly serve today? Was there a moment when my old self, the hunter, emerged? In which encounter was I most successful in my mission to serve, and why? In which encounter did I fail, and what can be learned. A day's success is measured not by commissions earned, but by help rendered. This must be done for 30 days. It must be done even when it feels unnatural, especially when one is feeling desperate and needy. One must force oneself to serve when the urge to take is strongest. It is the hardest work, for it is not merely changing a behavior, but reorienting a soul. Then one must watch what happens. The doors that were once slammed will open. The faces that were once hard and suspicious will soften. The objections that were once mountains will become molehills. One will find that selling no longer occurs. There are only heartfelt conversations with people who, by the end, are asking how they can get what is on offer. Customers become friends. They become advocates. They send their friends and family saying, "You must speak to this person. They are different. They will help you." One will sleep the sleep of the just, for the conscience will be clear. The day will have been spent not as a manipulator of men, but as a minister to their needs. Value will have been brought into the world. A small corner of the earth will have been made a better place. This is the one habit. It is the solid rock upon which a career of staggering success and a life of profound meaning can be built. The world has enough hunters, enough takers, enough salesmen who see people as objects. It is starved, it is crying out for shepherds, for servants, for men and women who greet the world not with an open hand asking to receive, but with an open heart seeking to give. To become the greatest servant in the world is to find, to one's everlasting astonishment, that one has become its greatest salesman.